So, good morning, everyone, especially to our prof. Good morning. So, can you imagine sailing around the entire world centuries ago with no GPS, no accurate maps, and limited knowledge of the oceans? That's exactly what the crew the first voyage around the world did. So, the first voyage around the world by Antonio Pigafetta. So, in this lesson, we will travel back in the time to discover one of the integral part of the Philippine history, and we will also talk about the important events. So, the first voyage around the world, the book about Ferdinand Magellan was written by him on a board in one of the five ships. So this was the first circumnavigate around the world. So during our elementary days, we heard a lot of stories about Magellan as he is one of the first Europeans who visited in the Philippines. So the book, which is written by Antonio Pigafetta at the end of Voyage. So Antonio Pigafetta, the author of the book, was on board the Victoria, and this was the only ship that was able to return into Spain. So his original journal was lost. It is not known in what language it was written, but luckily there was a four manuscript version that survived, one in Italian and three French. So the first voyage around the world, it was published by after Pigafetta returned in Italy. So throughout the expedition, the serve as a translator named Enrique. So Enrique is from Sumatra, present day of Indonesia, and he's a slave of Ferdinand Magellan. So, this book reveals several insight niches in the character of the Philippines during pre-colonial period, but also in how the fresh eye of the European regard a deeply unfamiliar terrain, environment, people, and culture. So, this book tells us the new things about the Philippines before the Europeans came and show us what life was like then, and also how the Europeans seeing it for the first time view this new land, its surroundings, and its people like they found it all very different from what they know at home. One of the primary sources from different historical periods and one of the study of the pre-colonial Philippines. This book uses very important information, what many old documents and the studies to understand Philippines before it was colonized. It is a key part of learning about this early period of the Philippine history. But before we proceed to important events, so let's meet our author today. So Antonio Pigafetta. Who is Antonio Pigafetta? So Pigafetta was a very smart and adventurous man from Italy. So he was born in a town called Vicenza, near Venice. In the year of 1491, he was a real scholar, meaning he loved to learn. Pigafetta studied lots of things like how the stars move in the sky, astronomy, where places are on the earth, geography, and how to make maps or cartography. He was a very well educated young man. Pigafetta wasn't just a bookworm though. He was also an explorer, meaning he loved to travel and see new places. He joined a very famous journey called Magellan's Expedition, was the first time anyone ever sailed all the way around the world. Pigafetta wrote about his adventures in a book which tell us a lot about the places he visited and the people he met. He's known for being a great writer and explorer, and his work helped us to understand the history better. So Antonio Pigafetta was a very important person. He was a smart scholar, a brave explorer, and a great writer. He helped us learn about the world in a new way. Magellan, the Portuguese explorer, wanted to find a new way to reach the Spice Island, which were very famous for their spices like cinnamon and cloves. He wanted to find a way to sail west to get there, instead of going the long way around Africa. So in 1519, Magellan set sail from the Seychelles, Spain, with a fleet of 5 ships. He was looking for fame and fortune, and he hoped to be a first person to sail all the way around the world. So after the sailing for a long time, the explorers reached some islands called Landrones Island. So Landrones Islands are the islands of the Thieves, presently known as the Marianas Island. So, a Pigafetta recounted that these people have no arms but use sticks, which have fishbone at the end. They're poor but ingenious and great thieves. And for the sake of what we call these 3 islands of the Landrones Islands. So always take note that Landrones Island is not a part of the Philippines. So as you can see, there's a map here. So that's a map of Lanchones Island. So it was located in the southeast of Japan, with southwest of Hawaii and north of New Guinea and east of the Philippines. So 10 days later, they landed on the other island, which is called Zamal, which now we call Samar. So 2 days after arriving in Zamal, 9 men came to find 9 men came to them and show joy and eagerness in seeing them, and also Magellan welcomed them with the food, drinks, and gift. In turn, natives gave them fish, palm, wine, yuraka, rice or humay, kukus. So, Pigapita was writing about the trip, describing the islanders are very friendly and easy to get with along. So, after a long journey, the explorers finally reached the Philippines and had a friendly meeting with the people of Zamal. This was a very important moment in the history of exploration. So after sailing for a long time, the explorer reached an island called Humuno, which we now call Humunon. It was a very important place for them because it had a fresh water and a good supplies. Pigafetta was writing about the journey called Humunon, a watering place of God, good signs. So this means the explorers felt hopeful and luckily to be there. They found the good things like fresh water and maybe even some gold, which made them feel like they were on the right track. So the explorers were so happy to find Homunhon that decided to name it and the nearby island as the archipelago of Saint Lazarus. They were religious people and they named the islands after the saint who was known for helping people who were sick. So like they feel like they were being taken care by the god. So on March 25, 1521, Pigafetta recounted that they saw to Balanghay a longboat full of people in Mazaba or Mazwa. So the Raja sent his men to the ship of Magellan. The king offered to give Magellan a bar of gold and a cheese of ginger, but yeah, Magellan declined. Instead, Magellan asked for money for the needs of his ships and expressed that he came into the island as a friend, not an enemy. And Rahashago gave them what Magellan asked. So, Magellan exchanged gifts of robes in Turkish fashion, red cape, and he gave also the people knives, mirrors also, and two of them expressed like the desire to be become of brothers. So after a few days, Magellan was introduced to Raha, a brother was also a Raha of another island. So like they went into the island and Pigafetta reported that they saw a mines of gold. So Raha Kalumba, he was the Raha of other island, brother of Raha Shago. Raha Kalumba is a Raha of Zuluan, which is the Butuan, and also Araha of Calagan, which is a Caragua. So Pigafetta described him as the most handsome of all men that he saw in the place. He was adorned with secret golden accessories like golden dagger, which he carried him with a wooden polished sheet. So in March 31, 1521, we're going to learn a very important event in the Philippines history, the first Catholic Mass. So this event happened on Easter Sunday, and it was a big moment for both explorers and the local people or native people. So on March 31, 1521, it was Easter Sunday, a special day for Christians. Magellan wanted to celebrate this day with a mass, so he asked his chaplain to lead the service. Something very special happened that day that Raha, the leader of the local people, attended the mass. So this showed that he was open to learning about the explorer's religion and costume. During the mass, Daraha and his brother did some very respectful things, like they kissed the cross, which is symbol of Christianity. They also knelt down and prayed when the priest lifted up the bread and wine, so which represent the body and the blood of Jesus Christ. So this mass was very important event because it was a first Catholic Mass celebrated in the Philippines. So it marked the beginning of Christianity in a country, and it's still remembered today. So the cross used in the Mass was become a very famous, and it's known as the Magellan Cruise. It is a symbol of the early days of Christianity in the Philippines, and it's still placed on a pilgrimage for many people. So the first mass in the Philippines was a very significant event that show how the explorers and the local people were starting to interact with each other. It also marked the beginning of a long and important history of Christianity in the Philippines. So by April 7, 1521, yeah, so by the help of Raha Columba, Magellan and his men reached in the port of Cebu, which is the largest and the richest country, which the largest and the richest island. So yeah, the Raha of Cebu, which is the Raha Humabon, like he demanded that they pay tribute as it was his customary. But yeah, Magellan refused because Magellan said that he was the captain himself and thus would not pay tribute to the other. So Magellan interpreter, which is Enrique, so explained to Raha Humabon that Magellan was the emperor of the great empire and that it would be better to make friends of them. So Raha Humabon um, consulted his council, and they met in the open space, and the Raha offered a bet of blood and also demanded that Magellan do the same. It's called a blood compacting. So on April 14, 1521, the people gathered with the Raha and other data of the island. Magellan spoke and encouraged the Raha to be a good Christian by destroying their anitos and worship the cross instead. So the Raha of Cebu was baptized as a Christian. Pigafetta show Tohara image a very beautiful wooden child Jesus, and the cruise asked for the little child Jesus to keep in the place of a netos, and this image of a child Jesus, so this is Jesus as known as the Santo Niño that found in Cebu. So after 8 days, all of the island's inhabitants were baptized. Pigafetta admitted that they born a village down for obeying neither the king, either neither the Raha or nor Magellan. The mass was conducted by the shore every day because that time there was no church. So in April 26, Magellan died in the battle. Pigafetta described how died. So the native perceiving that the bodies of the enemies were protected with armors. So like they aimed for their leg instead. He He was the first with poison arrow in his right leg. Magellan was specifically targeted because the native know that was the it was because he was the captain general. So the Raha of Cebu, which is Raha of Mabon, have sent to help to Magellan, but Magellan them. Uh, instructed them not to join the battle and just stay in the barangay so that he would see how they fought. So even though Magellan was gone, some of his crew decided to continue the journey. They had to face many challenges like storms, sea, running out the supplies, and uh, dealing with the loss of their leader. So after many months of sailing on hardship, only one ship, which is the Victoria, and a small number of survivors finally made it back to Spain. This was in 1522. The first voyage around the world was finally over. Even though the journey had a tragic end, it was still a very important moment in history. It proved that it was possible to sail around the world. It also opened new trade routes and to lead many new discovery. So in conclusion, that Magellan voyage had a sad ending, but it was the first ever circumnavigation of the world. His expedition shaped our understanding of the world and proved that such a journey was possible. Like it changed how people view the earth and encouraged a future voyagers of exploration. That's all for today. So but before we end this discussion, I prefer some quotations that ang mga chismosa ay hindi pa nila alam ang buong istorya pero sa kanila ay may ending na. So that's all. I hope you learn about my topic, which is the first voyage around the world.